So I'd like to remove the rear ones as well. There's two there. I have this piece removed now as well. And I should actually have loosened off this bolt before I took the crankshaft pulley off, because when I go to turn this to loosen it, it may turn the engine slightly, but the crank pulley, it went on loose enough that I don't think it's going to be a big problem to partially put that pulley back on there just to confirm that it's still top dead center. And I think if I use an impact, then it may not turn at all. And it looks like the guide on my right has separated from the bolt that should retain it. At least that's what it looks like from here. So after loosening that bolt off, I partially slid the crank pulley back on by hand. Here's a timing mark here. And it looks like it's still nicely in alignment with that 0 mark. So I'll leave it at that so I can remove that crank pulley again. So underneath this oil is a bolt that connects the cylinder head to the timing cover. So I'll take a rag and soak up some of that oil and show what that bolt looks like. There's two oil pan bolts that I would like to remove. One is here, I have my finger on it. The other one is in this area, I have my finger on it there as well. And this is that bolt that I was talking about earlier that was under oil. So that one needs to come off, and then the related bolts for the timing cover, and also there's a heat pipe for coolant on this side as well. So one of the bolts is here. Maybe I can show that better. So I'm trying to shine the light on it now there. And one of the bolts here. The other one I think is on this. Yeah, I think I got my thumb on it here. So those bolts are easier to get at than the ones from the other side. So I need to remove those as well. And then I think I'm up to the part where I'd like to attempt to remove this cover. I bought a parts kit for this project. So that includes the oil pump. And this is the hydraulic tensioner. And the chain has two different colored links. That's important for later. Two guides. Some gears. So what I think has happened on mine is the guide mount is broken. I was trying to show that earlier, and typically I think these guides, they're made of like the entire guide is made of plastic or nylon or something like that, and then the mount can break, which I think what has happened on mine. So I don't know which one. I'll have to take it apart now and see which one. So this is the upgrade solution to that. So it's a steel framed guide. However, the actual sliding surface is not steel, so I would imagine that's bonded on there. So and this guide is the same way. So it's a steel frame guide with a non-steel slider surface. I think these are the studs for the water pump. And all the ones that come through here like that, I have to make sure I have all of those out. And these here, this is for the heat pipe. I'm not sure which one is this one or this one, but this one. And here also, this is for the heat pipe. So that's already disconnected. Okay, so I need to remove some bolts. And one of the methods I was considering was using a piece of steel tubing. The other end of that tubing is hanging down under the truck, and I was considering using that tubing. I would be able to slide it up so that it's behind this water neck here somewhere, and then the other end of that tubing I would hit it with a mallet and to try and get that timing cover to just start to release from the silicone. And the other method is this big pry bar. So I would be able to lift this pry bar up here sort of like this. It would give me some leverage. So if I could get it started, you know, sort of like, you know, break that silicone seal, then the plan was to go to this side and pry on here by the oil pump. So I didn't want to start with this side because I might put a fair amount of load on there. I'd rather start here. If I could get that silicone broke free, at least partially, then I'm thinking it should start to come easier. So I'll set up the camera and I'll give this a try. I'll try the pry bar method, I think, first. So if this timing cover starts to separate, it should be noticeable here in this area. Well, it's quite a bit of pressure I'm putting on it. Nothing's happening. Oh, that's too bad. So that was unsuccessful. So my next attempt involved using these motorcycle tie downs, and then going under the truck and also using that steel piece of tubing, using the mallet against that, so it had the pressure from the pry bar, plus I was hitting it with that mallet and the steel tubing. That didn't work. And that didn't work either. So I haven't broke that water neck off yet, and it's possibly not cracked either. I'm not sure about that. But so I really didn't want to pull the oil pan off, guys, but I think that's what I'm going to have to do. This is a two-wheel drive truck. To get that oil pan off, I have to either lift the engine a bit, which I wasn't really that interested in, or removing a cross brace, which is under the oil pan, which I think by doing that it should make it fairly easy to get that oil pan off of there. So I've already got the bolts loose, and I was testing them to see if there's load on the bolts, because if I remove that cross brace and then the frame moves a bit, like it spreads out or moves together, and then later I can't get the bolts back in there, well, that would be a problem. So, but that doesn't look like it's going to be a problem. I think I've got all the oil pan bolts removed. Now I'm going to try and separate the oil pan from the block. So the oil pan is loose now. So after lowering the drag link as well, then I found there was enough room to get that oil pan out from under the truck. And I've got the oil pump removed now as well from the front of the timing cover. So I think I'll be able to pry the bottom of the timing cover loose. And there's something, I found something here, I don't know what it is yet. Might be one of the chain guides. Something loose here. Anyway, so I'll work at getting that timing cover off now. So I worked at trying to pry that cover loose from the bottom, and the passenger side was coming loose. The driver's side seemed like something was holding it yet. And I found, it turns out, there is another bolt. I will attempt to show it with the camera. Let's see. So I've got there's one right, I think that's it right there. I think I'm showing it right now. And I think this is where that bolt is on this new cover. This is where it would go. Now the cover is loose, so I can remove it now. So this is part of the chain guide. It fell on the floor as I was removing the cover. And there's another part of the chain guide that it looks like it's completely broken off. I think I'll be able to remove it by hand. It's coming out the top here now. Come on. Oh, come on. Oh, maybe it goes out the bottom. Come on. Okay, here it is. Here's more of that chain guide. So this part of the chain guide, it's still fastened with that, loosely with that bolt on the bottom there. But the passenger side chain guide looks intact. So it's unfortunate that I didn't remove that bolt in the back there when I had the pry bar on it and I was trying to get it loose without having to remove the oil pan. I'm curious, would I have been able to remove it without removing the oil pan? But now, you know, looking inside the oil pan, it looks pretty dirty. So, anyways, now's a chance to clean that oil pan out. But the chain, it didn't look that bad. Like before the sprocket dropped off of the end of the camshaft. So anyways guys, I think that's it for this video. Thanks for checking it out.